Welcome to Where's Wilmington? I'm Lisa Capala, and for the next half an hour, we're going to be talking to your local library. Now, before you go running away, there's a lot of interesting things going on at the library, and we have Linda Callahan with us. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
She's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on at the library, and I understand your capacity over there is what?
I'm head of reference and adult services.
Okay, so what does that exactly mean to the layperson? What does a day in the life of Linda Callahan at the library look like?
Well, the department that I'm in charge of is composed of two elements. The first being the circulation desk and department, and they're the people that you would see when you come in and need to take out your books, return your books, pay fines, get a new library card. And the second part of it is the reference element, and those are the people, the information desk. If you need to know anything from a zip code to criticism on a well-known author and things like that, help with the computers, troubleshooting computers, teaching people how to use the internet and online databases.
Excellent. I'm glad you brought up the point of the internet. When we think of the library, at least in my age group, I'm in my 40s, we used to go to the library to do all of our research projects. But now with the internet, do you find that the traffic at the library has changed? Or are there more people coming, less people coming? What does it look like now that it didn't look like 20 or so years ago before WWW came to be?
I would say that it has changed more than lessened. People certainly can do more at home and look up materials that they want and request them online, which is great. Saves them time, and they're able to do it in their own time. Right. And then they come into the library to pick up those things, and that helps people that have a busy schedule. But there are still people, the mothers that bring their kids in to go to the story hour, or the parents that bring their kids in to do the research on a project where they have to come in and get books. They can't do everything on the internet. Right. So we're still seeing a lot of people come in, and we're glad to have people of all different ages and backgrounds and everything come in and see what we have to offer. So the internet has helped. It's just one tool out of many.
Excellent. What do you feel really is the true mission of the library, and how has that changed? Obviously, we know there are books there and resources, but I'm getting at the point of it becoming more of a community center than maybe just a lending facility. Is that what you see coming? Yes,
very definitely, and that's probably been within the last 5 to 6 years that it has really changed its focus. The library in Wilmington has not only it houses books, but it has other formats. We have magazines, we have music CDs, we have books on tape, books on CD, we have videos, DVDs. All these materials appeal to different groups of people. We have magazines that you can take out. But there's also programming that happens at the library for all ages, adults, teens, children of all ages. And sometimes it's just a nice place to come in and sit and read the newspaper, read an issue of the magazine. Tutors come in, work with students at tables. And it's a place sometimes just the kids come in after school and hang out, and also to use the computers. And it's a safe place. These
Absolutely. Days, there's not really a rec center for us to go to, so where else would we go? That leads me to the question, isn't the library supposed to be a very kind of place? How can you have all this going on with that going on too?
Well, what we've tried to do in Wilmington, we've gone through a phase of making over the inside of the library, and not only adding some color, but also opening up the floor plan. And we've tried to separate spaces so that we have an active area that tends to be noisy, and we're not always shushing people. We don't do that. In fact, we love to talk with the people when they come in and visit. And also then we have a quieter area where people can sit, read, do their tutoring, do their work. And we've tried to put our collection of books on the side, book stacks on the sides of the room. So that opens up the floor. We've been able to uncover the windows to let the light in.
Excellent.
So it isn't the same kind of place that you remember perhaps as a child.
Right. How do you feel? How long have you been with the Wilmington Library? I should start with that.
I've been with the Wilmington Library 11 years.
Wow.
In November. But I've been in library work for longer than that, about 32 years. Wow. Started out in public libraries, then went on to working in what they call special libraries, because it was associated with a chemical company, and then with environmental consultants. So I've had a varied career, but have come back in at the
Excellent.
sort of the end of the career back to public libraries and enjoy
You're
it.
in good company. The president's wife has a library degree, right?
That's right.
She's in
That's
that
right.
industry. Tell me a little bit about if someone wanted to get involved and become a librarian, or if you think you want to help people and you know that you're into research and you really like meaty topics. How does one advance to the level you're at?
Well, usually people that work at the professional level in libraries have a college degree. It doesn't matter what you study. You can study any particular topic, but then you usually will go on to a graduate program in library science or library and information science. Most professional level jobs will require that. Depending upon what your focus is, you may want to work in schools. You may want to work in, and I'm talking public schools, you may want to work at a higher level, academic level in colleges. There's a whole field called special libraries, and they're just specialized collections with specialized clientele, or public libraries. And depending upon what your interest is, that's what you would focus on in school. And the best thing to do is get a job in one of those or any of those, just to see what it's like and see if you're going to enjoy it. It's definitely a public service.
Right. You have to like people. Now, I know that the nursing industry in this part of the country, I don't know if it's the rest of the country, is having an issue with not having enough workers for that field. Do you find that library science has that as well, or are there enough of you to go around?
I think that there are more people going into it. Sometimes it's people that are changing careers and did something different before, and all of a sudden are deciding they would like to go into this field. Certain levels of library work, there's a lot of turnover in the staff, and other levels it takes longer for a position to open up. People stay in it a little bit longer. But I think there are people out there for the jobs. It's just a question of finding the right match.
Excellent. What do you really think is the biggest misconception about either Wilmington's library or just libraries in general? What do you really hear from people and think, gee, I just wish people wouldn't say that?
Well, I think there's two things, especially as far as the librarian is concerned. We don't like to hear a stereotype of a librarian. We all work very hard at not being the typical librarian.
Okay.
And we're very interested in a lot of different things. We have different kinds of lives. We have, we're
so you're
grandmothers.
Not boring people who sit in the stacks all night.
Not.
Let's just get that right off the books, so to speak, now.
And libraries are very vibrant in these days. So that we want people to come in and see what we have to offer, because we have an awful lot to offer and we have different things for different people.
Right. And also, you're going through a renovation process right now. I would imagine you'd like people to see what you're doing, since you probably worked very hard on getting that approved through the town and so forth. Very
definitely. And we also want people to see that we're listening to what they have to say, what they would like in a library. The first floor, the adult department, has gone through a makeover. We have a brand new circulation desk. We've opened up an area. We have a reference desk that's new. We've tried to really think about how the people come through the library and what is a good placement of activity areas. So you can have a better flow. So I would imagine that would be good for everybody, not just the staff, but also for folks who use the library. Right. And on the second floor, which is where we have our children and teen area, they are going through a makeover period too. And they have been recipients of grants. The teen librarian, full-time teen librarian, Brandy Danner, applied for a grant for federal money, and it's administered by the state, and she won $20,000. Excellent. It's a 2-year program, and she will be doing over the whole area, the physical area, getting input from the teens, and then the second year we'll be concentrating on beefing up the programming. And the children's area has received a gift of $20,000 from IDARC Media, and it's collaborating with the American Library Association in renovating libraries, 3 libraries across the country, and we have been chosen as one of them. So they are focusing on the preschool area, so it's going to look wonderful. So it's going to be very different than what most of us who have lived in this town for a long time have seen. And you said there were 2 misconceptions, the one being that librarians are boring. What's the second? That the library is a quiet place, and that all people do is sit around and read, and librarians read books the whole time they're there. It's really a lot of interaction, and there's a lot going on. Okay. Now, I understand that you're getting ready in a few years or so to leave the field. What would you like to see happen and change before you pass the torch, so to speak, to the next person? I would like to see more people come in to find out what we have to offer. And that's why you're here. Absolutely. And I think that for all that we do, a lot of marketing, public relations, getting our programs, the flyers out there, there are still people that don't know what we can do for them, what we can provide for them. And that would be the biggest thing, that I would invite everybody to come in and visit the library and get a library card. It's the best.
Easy thing to do.
Absolutely. It's free, and you can get so many services with just your library card.
Right. Not only that, we also have the capacity to interact with other libraries. Is that correct? College libraries as well? Can you talk a little bit about that? I know we're on a program where we can use services from other libraries. How does that work?
The Wilmington Library is part of the Merrimack Valley Library Consortium, and we're one of 35 libraries in that consortium. And so our catalog, when one sees it, our online catalog, it's showing you the holdings of all of those libraries. So should Wilmington not have something that you need, you are more than likely able to get it from one of the other libraries. And you can request online, you can request from home, from office, you can come in and request it on the computer, you can call us, we'll do it for you. We also have access to what's called the virtual catalog, and that connects us to all of the other library consortia in the state. And there's a delivery system, so the things can be delivered to the Wilmington Library.
So that means if I wanted something from UMass Amherst, let's say from one of their libraries, I don't have to drive there to go get it.
No.
It gets sent to you and I come and pick it up.
Absolutely.
That's excellent.
It is.
I love that idea. What else would you like our viewers to know before we go to the second half of our program, where we're going to be talking to Leslie Dietrich? She's a friend of the Wilmington Library Bookstore.
right.
We're going to be talking about that. What else would you like folks to know while we've got their attention?
Well, please come in to see the library. Please come in to visit us. If you're new in town, please come in and introduce yourselves. The Friends of the Library is a wonderful organization, and I would love to thank them publicly for all that they have done for us. They work very hard for the library, and all their fundraising goes directly to the library. They are doing an annual appeal. So if you feel that you want to do something to support the library directly, get involved with the Friends. As much or as little as you want. It can be just a financial contribution, or it can be a contribution of your time and effort. We have some wonderful people working for the library, so I'd just like to see more people in the community get involved with the library.
All right. Well, this is Linda Callahan. Thank you so much for the work you've been doing and for coming to see us. Go and visit Linda at the library. You're there pretty much all the time, right?
Pretty much all the time.
And when we come back, we're going to be talking to Leslie Dietrich, and she is with the Friends of the Wilmington Library. She's going to tell us a little bit more about how you can get involved. So we'll be right back. Stay right where you are.
Mom?
Dad?
How long should I wait for you? Mom?
If I'm at soccer practice.
What if something happens? Will you come get me?
There's no reason not to have a plan in case of a terrorist attack.
Mom, if you're not home, should we go to the neighbor's house?
And some extremely good reasons why you should.
Can you tell me?
Talk to your family about what you would do in case of an emergency. For more information, go to www.ready.gov.
Adopt a child from foster care. Just being there makes all the difference.
Hi, I'm Devin Sargent from PAC 361, and you're watching WCTV, Wilmington Community Television.
Hi, welcome back to Where's Wilmington? As promised, this is the second half of our program. We're talking about the Wilmington Library and the Friends of the Wilmington Library. Always great to have friends.
Yes,
Leslie
it is.
Dietrich, nice to have you with us.
Lovely to
so
be here. Thank
you manage and head up and do everything that's related to the Friends of the Wilmington Library Bookstore, which I didn't even know we had such a thing here in Wilmington. So let's get the word out about what you do and what we'll see when we go to the bookstore.
Thank you so much. This is very exciting. We do have a used bookstore in Wilmington.
Excellent.
This became an idea last fall, probably about a year ago, for the Friends of the Wilmington Memorial Library to get a fundraiser going, and we were unable to do our annual book sale
I see.
due to the constraints that space and time constraints at the library. So this little house next door to the bookstore, next door to the library, is our bookstore next door, and the town owns the building and loaned it to the library.
Excellent.
So
What was the building used for prior to that? Was it just empty?
it had been empty. It was a private home, and so the town purchased it for overspace for the library storage, and then we decided, wouldn't this be a neat place for a bookstore?
Excellent. I think that's great too. I know in communities, when I drive by and I see an area not being utilized, it's always nice to know that the town has actually used the building. So many buildings sit
Exactly.
vacant. It's good to know that we're using our resources wisely. So to go from the idea of let's have a bookstore to now we have a bookstore, that's a pretty big jump. So how did you go from just the idea of this to actually making what it is now?
Well, people have always been giving donations of their used books to the library. So we had to channel them over into a different mindset now, that we would be still collecting donations.
Right.
And we ended up having to get a lot of the cast-off bookshelves from the library.
Right.
It happened nicely that the library was going over renovations, so we
Right.
could snag bookshelves, because this was a home. It was a very cute little, still is a very cute little house, turn of the century, last century house. It has 3 rooms downstairs and a kitchen. So we needed to get bookshelves in as many rooms as we could,
Right.
and get some carpentry help and volunteers.
Now, were you there from the very beginning?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you saw it when it was a house and now that it is a bookstore.
Right.
Do you ever look around and think, it's really hard to believe that in a year and a little plus that you went from somebody's kitchen to now it's a bookstore? That's pretty miraculous.
It's very neat, especially since it's really been since February that we got the go-ahead
Wow.
to do this. So it's taken a lot of time and effort from a lot of people
Excellent.
to see it.
What does an average day as a bookseller look like for you? What do you do there?
Well, we're open only Saturdays.
Okay.
So an average Saturday, I don't know whether there's ever an average Saturday. You never know who's going to come in. And
Right.
the word has gotten more and more widespread. So, but we open up, hang our little flag out front and the sign out on the street.
Do you feel like this is a really untapped resource that a lot of folks just plain don't know you're there,
Oh,
to
yes.
be frank?
Yeah. Nope, it's tough to get the marketing out.
Okay.
I'm very grateful to the local papers. The Town Crier and the Advocate run a little blurb every week for us.
But part of why we dragged you here
Yes,
is to tell you,
and this is
to tell
excellent.
everybody all about
Come
this,
to the used
right?
bookstore.
Now, what kinds of books are available? When you say used bookstore, that makes me think of when you go to Cambridge area.
Exactly.
And you go into all the old bookstores and you just pick through the bins and look through everything, and it can be a real treasure-finding experience.
Right.
Is that similar to the feeling that we would get if we went to visit you?
That's what I've tried to emulate here. I've been going to used bookstores since I was a kid and in college and everything. And people do walk in and say, wow, this really looks like a used bookstore. We have
you're
a
trying
variety
for
of
that.
things. We are trying for that.
Good.
We have a variety. We never know what the donations are. We get people's collections,
Right.
which is lovely to be donated the entire someone's collections. And we get 2 and 3 books a day. So we never know.
Now, how do I, as a person who has maybe a nice big box of books, how do I know if that's something you'd be interested in taking off my hands? Can I just bring them to you and you decide, or do I have to call you first? How does that work?
Generally, we have guidelines, but generally, if you were just brought in a box of books, we would take it. Obviously, if they're musty, they've been in the basement.
No,
we
I would
wouldn't
only
want
bring
them.
you nice things.
Yes,
Leslie.
okay. But we take all fiction, nonfiction, children's.
Really?
No magazines, no encyclopedia sets, but any range of literature.
Okay. What have you been most excited about that you've been given or has been donated to you folks? You've been with books your whole life. It sounds like it's been a passion for you. So has there been anything that's come your way that you've said, I can't believe we have this in our collection?
I'm afraid I just enjoy all books, so
You love
it's
them all.
hard to tell. What's really nice is just to see such good quality books coming through,
Okay.
and a wide variety. We just sold an old book, probably the 30s or 40s, on beekeeping the
Oh, wow.
Saturday. That was so cool. And it had been there for probably since the beginning for a few months. But
And they sound like
you
they're all
just
little
never know.
children
And-
to you. You have to let them go
I
and
have to
release
let
them
them
out to
go.
the public.
Oh, yes.
How
It's
do you
kind of a joke.
determine what the books are going to sell for? How do you set the price on those?
We generally, all of our hardcovers are $2.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we don't individually price things. And mass market paperbacks are 50 cents, and
Wow.
trade paperbacks are $1. So
Okay.
very rarely do we come across something that we think needs to further study to charge more. We had
Okay.
a very large book for $5, but that's
Oh,
about
wow.
it. We haven't quite hit the big time in the used bookstore
Okay.
pricing yet.
So we don't have to worry about bringing in $1 million to come down to
No.
the center and get some books. Do you take cash and check charge? How does that work?
Cash and checks.
Excellent.
We have gift certificates too, and no charge yet.
Excellent. Well, then, you'll get there. You'll
Maybe,
get there if that's
yeah.
what you're going to do. Well, I would think with books being $2, $1.50, that
It's
would be
rare
pretty
to run up a big
reasonable.
tab.
So, although you could do it. What hours are you open on Saturdays?
10 to 4
Okay.
is our normal.
That's a
day.
nice little shift,
Yeah.
not too bad. Now, what made you decide to get involved and become the actual manager? I know you said you love books and you've been
Mm-hmm.
with books your whole life, but to take that on as a project, that's a pretty big commitment.
It was, but there's an executive board in the Friends Library, and there are a number of us on there, and I was on the board in a fundraising chair mode, so when we got this opening up, it seemed a natural progression.
Definitely sounds like a good fit.
Right.
What kind of challenges have you faced, though? You look at something, you think, yeah, this might be fun. Now you're really doing it. What kind of
Time.
challenge? Time. Would you like to be open more?
Oh, yes, we'd like to be open more, but until I retire, I
Yeah,
don't think.
because you don't have the time that it takes.
The
Because I'm
volunteers.
sure people don't realize what
Yeah.
it takes to get this up and running. And there are lots of volunteers that also help you
Yes,
to keep
yeah.
things going.
We have a number of friends, and anybody's welcome to work at the store. They don't have to be a friend of the library, but we have about 35 and growing shopkeepers.
Wow.
We have four people attend every Saturday, 2 and 3 hour
That's really
shifts.
good. What do
So-
you think is going to be the future of this store, or how would you like to see it develop? If I could get you the magic wand and get you anything you wanted, what would you really like to see it be? Of course, I know you love it the way that it is right now, but a bigger vision would be what?
I would really like to see us on a map more for used bookstores.
Really?
Plug in Got Books over in North Reading is another spot, and Bob Ticehurst has helped us out a lot. There's another used bookstore in Burlington.
So you
we
want to be
just need-
treated like the big guys.
We do. I
You
want
wanna be
them
on the
to
same
go
page
from
with everybody
Cambridge
else.
right up to Wilmington.
I can
Sure.
certainly see that. All right. Is there anything that you need from the community? Are you getting a steady flow of books that you need? Are there any kinds of books that you're looking for?
Actually, we've been very well received by our donations. We cut back to have accept donations only on the first Saturday of every month,
Okay.
because we're trying to fine-tune the kitchen into a very good sorting area.
Right.
And this will give us the time without drowning.
Right.
We've pretty much maximized the space that we have, so it's a matter of shuffling things around.
Okay.
So just keep coming and buying.
Excellent. Anything final you'd like to know the viewership today from them, or you want them to know about the facility? And you're right next to the library, correct?
We are. It's the bookstore next door, and so if you're local, you'll know that it's next door to the Wilmington Memorial Library,
Okay.
183 Middlesex.
Right. And we can talk to you via email, correct?
Yes,
Because you're not
yes.
always there. We have a
Right.
question, or we want to volunteer or get involved.
By
to
all
drop
means,
something off.
anybody, if they'd like to volunteer to come and work or help sort or attend the shop or have more donations than they can bring by, feel free to call me.
Okay. And we'll put your email address up on the screen for
Okay.
folks so they can get in touch with you.
Great.
Thank you so much for doing
Well,
what you
thank
do.
you. Thank
Glad to
you.
have you with us.
This was wonderful.
Thank you. And thank you for watching, for tuning in to Where's Wilmington. Please stop by the library and visit with Leslie next door at the bookstore and see Linda over there at research. We can't make the community better if we don't know what everyone's looking for, and we can't do that without your input. So go and visit these lovely ladies and the rest of the staff there. I just want to thank you for watching Where's Wilmington. I'm Lisa Capalla, and keep in mind the next time someone asks you, where's Wilmington, you tell them right here and right here on WCTV. Thanks for watching.